From WBBZ-TV Sports, it's time to beat the champ. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Peck and Sue Novoitsky.
With Hall of Fame bowler Sue Novoitsky, my name is Paul Peck, and welcome to the Rapids Bowling Center in Niagara Falls. It is our second week here on Beat the Champ, and the story of the first week, and maybe the story of this week as well too, Sue, is going to be Dana Voytovich on an 11-match winning streak. He is within range of tying the record for consecutive wins, and he is bowling out of his mind right now, to use a technical term.
Right, well, it's Beat the Champ, right? And it's nice to have a nice streak going and a champ that some people really have to work at beating.
Yeah, and we've got three guys who are going to try to do that today, starting with Brian Shaffer, then Jeff Pohlman, and then Hall of Fame bowler Fran making his first appearance on Beat the Champ in almost 30 years.
Little hometown flair, because Brian is the league bowler here, very comfortable. Fran is well known in the Niagara Falls area, and you know, Jeff's just a regular to the show. But yes, Fran was part of the original Beat the Champ, and now he gets to try this one.
Yeah, so it's going to be a great month here, a great week of our month-long stay at the Rapids Bowling Center. It is week number 2, so let's get rolling.
I'm here at Beat the Champ with Sarah Rott, our scorekeeper of the day. So tell us how this came about that you're scorekeeping today.
Well, I won the Autumn Classic tournament down at Manitou Lanes, and Jim reached out to me asking if I wanted to do scorekeeping, and I will also be bowling later against Danielle Milo, so I said sure.
All right, so it's nice that I made a comment that it's nice that to see you be able to keep score because you grew up with the automatic scoring, but you're doing a great job. You don't seem to be at all nervous. How do you feel about it?
I feel pretty good. I was a little nervous going into it, but otherwise, yeah, I feel pretty good.
All right, comes pretty natural, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, great job today, and hope you bowl well, too, in the first show.
Thank you.
I'm here at Beat the Champ with Brian Shaffer. We haven't seen you in a while, since Jamestown. Yeah. I see you bowl league here. Did you come out here because you're comfortable in this particular condition?
No, I just took a little time off. I wasn't bowling as well as I've wanted to, and yes, these lanes are much conducive to my game, and I'm familiar with them, so I feel comfortable and at home here. So.
All right. Any nerves about bowling on the show?
Not at all.
You look calm, and as calm can be. So good luck today. You've got a big competition here.
Yeah, he's won a lot in a row, so hopefully I can be the one to knock him off.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
Match number 1 is Brian Shaffer challenging Dana Voytovich, trying to be the guy that knocks out Dana Voytovich from winning a 12th consecutive match. The 11 in a row that Dana has won is now the second longest streak on the new version of Beat the Champ. I feel like this week we're going to have to be very specific when we talk about the new version of Beat the Champ and the old version because of Fran Bax coming on the show later on. So here's Dana Voytovich to start off our first match against Brian Shaffer, and he starts it off by leaving the 10 pin.
Well, I don't think you can throw it a whole lot better than that. That was beautiful off his hand, and that's just a ring 10, one of those things that are the nemesis of bowlers.
You saw the Twitter page at Beat the Champ TV, and you can like us on the Facebook page as well too for all the updates that you need to know on qualify and scoring and results and statistics and the always entertaining comments of the Western New York bowling community.
Well said.
So here we get our first look at Brian Shaffer. We have seen Brian once before on the show, all the way back in 2016 at the Jamestown Bowling Company, where his only match was a loss to Chuck Jagosinski. But Brian is a regular here at the Rapids Bowling Center, and that allowed him to bowl well and qualify, and we know he's comfortable here. And a little bit of a tough way to start things off for Brian.
Yeah, well, he tried to get on that one a little bit, and that got a little early rotation on it. Tried to hit it a little hard and kind of went through the nose on him.
Brian Shaffer is from North Tonawanda, 41 years old. Full-time occupation as a bakery manager at Wegmans. And he grabs that 3-pin spare, so both guys have spared in the first frame. And there you get a look at the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard. Sarah Rott filling in for Janelle Sabin this month here at the Rapids Bowling Center. She did a great job in last week's show, week number 1, and continues to do an outstanding job keeping us up to date on the Castellone scoreboard. Frame number 2 for Brian Shaffer. Slips over to lane number 3. And he grabs his first strike. 235 average for Brian Shaffer as he bowls here in a regular Wednesday night league at Rapids. And now back over to Dana. This is his 7th appearance on Beat the Champ. In only 7 shows, he has already accumulated 12 overall wins. We mentioned the winning streak, but the 12 overall wins for Dana have now moved him into a tie for 3rd place overall in the 2+ seasons of Beat the Champ. So he doesn't appear regularly, but when he does, he wins, and he wins a lot.
And we've seen that a couple times happen. Get the long streaks going with people that may not make the show every month, but they don't have to make it every month because they're already on it.
No, they do not have to. So you saw the strike for Dana Voytovich in the 2nd frame after the spare in the 1st, and now he'll move over to lane number 3. Coming into last week's show here, having won the 8 in a row at Batavia, he didn't really like that as soon as he threw it, and he will leave that 1-5 pin.
That is the 9.
9, I'm sorry, you're right.
You know,
it is the 9.
our angle's a little bit different, but that is a true tap. I mean, it's just the ball deflecting and not the ball's supposed to hit the 9 and it didn't because it's driving so hard.
And maybe this is related to the point I was going to try to make, was that those matches in Batavia, Dana averaged 255 in winning those 8 matches. Now here last week he started at 248, but then 218, 227. Great scores, terrific scores, but not quite the 255. So I think there was at times when he was still feeling his way a little bit through
and the
things.
funny thing about that is this bowling center would probably admittedly be more notorious for high scores. And, you know, the synthetic surface and, you know, the pin action here does create.
This feels like a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action on Beat the Champ. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
Does it help him that he bowls here regularly and he might understand how to make that change maybe a little more than Dana might?
He should recognize that. That's pretty recognizable from a bowling standpoint. And I don't know if because of the amount of games and the way people throw it, I don't know if that's what happens in his league transition. Sometimes in league you don't move a whole lot. You know, they don't change a lot.
A little frustration on the face of Dana Voytovich as he's just not quite getting the reaction that he wants to, and you can see he leaves the 4 pin after that open in the 5th. That's 2 frames in a row that are not quite what we're used to seeing from him.
Well,
oh, and he missed it again. That's back-to-back opens in 5 and 6 for Dana Voytovich.
well, I'll tell you what's happening here. The lanes are changing. He started out ring 10 strike, 9 pin strike, so everything looks great. Then he 2-8 10s, and now he's got to think. And the lanes have changed for him a little bit, and he's thinking about the next shot and not thinking about that spare shot. And it's so typical that you get ahead of yourself and all of a sudden you've missed that spare because you're already thinking about your plan for the next shot.
And that's a nice response to shake off the demons there a little bit for Dana Voytovich. So now we'll have to see what do the 2 open frames mean in the context of this match, and how does Brian Shaffer, the 41-year-old from North Tonawanda, take advantage of an incredible slip-up from Dana Voytovich that we have not seen the likes of.
36 pins with 4 frames to go, that's a big lead.
7th frame now for Shaffer with a chance to continue to put this one away. And a nice strike, a gentle strike, so to speak. It may not have sounded great, but the results were there. And that's a big strike.
It was. was, and he opened that one up more. He got that one way out to the right, but he needs to do that because he's got a big break in the back end. So it was a good shot.
Eighth frame. Back-to-back strikes for Brian Shaffer.
Wow, great adjustment there off that. Last time he was on lane 3 and went high. That was a perfect adjustment.
And now the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard telling us a story that it has not told us for a while, which is Dana Voytovich finds himself in a hole.
Dana has to strike
Big hole
on every shot in order to even have a chance in this match.
Now there's at least the first one that he needs. The winning streak of 11 in a row on the line for Dana Voytovich. It stands as the second longest winning streak here on Beat the Champ in our third season now. He'd have a chance to break the overall record streak held by Jeremy Zimmerman, but not unless he figures out a way to get through this match.
Come on.
And there's
What a shot.
another strike.
That was good off his
Not
hand.
going down quietly.
No. So a strike here will pretty much cement Brian the win. I mean, he'll have to keep it on the lane in the 10th frame.
Brian's used to being around great bowlers, went to high school with your friend and Liz Johnson, of course one of the outstanding bowlers of all time, nationally and not just in Western New York.
Wow, and she just keeps adding to her list of credentials. I mean, she just won a men's tournament. I mean, the girl is just incredible.
Crucial, 10th frame, Brian Shaffer. He doesn't get the strike. Could not get the 10 pin. Boy, that pin, that messenger pin came flying over, but it did not take it out.
Okay, so he needs to pick this up. He needs a spare in this frame or the next frame to win. So he's very much in the driver's seat. There's one. So Dana has a potential 217 on the board. So Brian here will he'll need a spare. Any kind of spare. Strike will seal it.
So the chance for Brian Shaffer to end the run of Dana Voytovich comes right here in the 10th frame of our first match of the week. He got it. You heard him yelling for it, and the pins answered, heard it, and responded with the strike that's going to give Brian Shaffer a huge upset victory over the red-hot Dana Voytovich. Good for Brian. Great match. Pushed Dana hard. That's what this show is all about. That's what bowling is all about.
And maybe not a well-known name in the bowling community, but came out here with all the confidence in the world. Made shots when he needed to. It was an amazing match.
Just his second appearance here on Beat the Champ for Brian Shaffer, and he comes up with one of the biggest wins we've ever had. Whatever he gets here doesn't really make any difference, as it's a 220 final on the board for Brian Shaffer, and it's going to be enough. Those two open frames in the 5th and the 6th, unlikely. I think those may be the first opens we've seen from Dana in the entire streak. Those obviously were the difference in this match. So we'll talk to Dana about it, and we'll get you ready to see Brian bowl again when Sue and I return to the Rapids Bowling Center in Niagara Falls, USA. You're watching Beat the Champ. Well, Dana, the 11-match winning streak comes to an end here. I want to ask you about the streak in a moment, but that match, the 2 open frames in the 5th and 6th, and really that missed spare in the 6th, probably what cost you here. What happened on those 2?
Yeah, I mean, after the 2nd frame, when I left the stone 9 on the strike, I lost my head, honestly, and that affected my mental game, obviously. I rushed the spare and missed it. And then I made the move. I should have moved faster. I had moved in finally in the last few frames, 2 boards, and that had great ball reaction then, but it was too late.
Right. Well, I know it doesn't feel good at the moment, but reflect a little bit on what you were able to do here in winning 11 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, I threw the ball pretty well, but I also had a lot of breaks come my way. So, I mean, I don't know. Just feels good to win, but sucks to lose too.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who's more disappointed, you or your Uncle Greg, for the possibility of you 2 guys going against each other, which stood at next week's show.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Maybe next month.
All right, well, that's right. If he keeps winning and you get back on the show, we can have that again. Pat, that's a little hefty envelope you got.
It's a very hefty envelope. It was fun to watch for sure, and wish you all the best, and hopefully we'll see you back again soon. So.
All right, great bowling and a great display from Dana Voytovich, and I know we'll see more of him. We know we're going to see more of Brian Shaffer. Match number 2 from the Rapids Bowling Center is next.
I'm here on Beat the Champ with our Pohlman of the month, Jeff. Any talk at the Christmas table about Beat the Champ?
Yeah, I mean, me and my brother Joe are excited. We're regulars out here. We're trying to support all the centers that are contributing to this great area bowling event, and it's our goal. We set a personal goal this year to be on every single show of the 12 shows. So this is 1 out of 12 so far.
All right, 1 down, and we'll see your mom out there showing her emotion.
Yeah,
I saw a video. I saw
Yeah.
a videotape.
Call it the Sandy Flop. So hopefully we
Don't
won't
make her
have
do that.
Yes, I won't make her do that today.
Okay, good luck today.
Thank you.
So Brian Shaffer will try to start a winning streak of his own with his opponent, Jeff Pohlman. And Shaffer riding the momentum of that big win over Voytovich. Jeff Pohlman's a veteran of this show. This will be the 8th appearance he has made here on Beat the Champ. Only 1 win for Jeff, and we know Jeff's going to break through at some point here and rattle off a bunch of them, and we'll see if it's going to be this match or not. But if it's not Jeff, it's his brother Joe that's a regular every month on the show. And the first frame for Jeff Pohlman will leave the 10 pin.
It's a good shot. He's in where he needs to be, and because this lane has shown to be a little bit tricky, I thought that was a really good shot out of the gate.
Last time we saw Jeff was right here a couple of months ago when he qualified for the show here at the Rapids Bowling Center and wound up losing to Mike Zarcone at that point a couple of months ago. And there's an opening spare for Jeff Pohlman, and a little high five there for Brian Shaffer. Now we get our first look at Brian, and again, coming off the big win over Dana Voytovich in just his 2nd appearance here on the show for Brian Shaffer.
It's hard not to enjoy his intensity.
Yeah.
Because you know that bowling on TV isn't his side job. This is a great experience for him, and he's enjoying every second of it.
And a late fall on the 10 pin gets Brian a strike. And he was as vocal as any bowler that we've had here on the show in a long time. So you're going to want to turn the volume up. You're going to turn the volume up because you'll get a little bit of color commentary from the 3rd member of the crew here, and that would be Brian as he reacts to his shots, both good and bad. But again, we talked about it before the match against Dana. He's a regular here. He bowls here in a league, bowls here a lot. Sometimes that can be what you can use to overcome what might be perceived to be a better bowler.
Well, emotion plays a big part in this game. And as Dana alluded to, he felt like the bowlers were sort of throwing bad shots and kind of giving him the matches even though he wasn't that sharp. This guy wasn't having it. I mean, Brian came out here and he was giving it all. He's walking out shots. He's got a lot of confidence, and he didn't let any of that play into his mind at all.
So 2 strikes to open things up, to automatically announce that it was not just a fluky win for Brian Shaffer. He is here to stay. But Jeff Pohlman's going to have something to say about that, and Jeff will move to frame number 2 here. Concentration and focus from Jeff. And he'll leave the picket fence on the right-hand side. 44 years old, from Clarence Center. He is an 8th grade math teacher at the Westminster Community Charter School, is Jeff Pohlman. As, of course, we talked about his brother Joe as a teacher and the varsity bowling coach at Clarence as well, too. So teaching is kind of the family business there for the Pohlman boys, and they both do it well. And always, it works out great that there's no school this week, so no conflicts for Jeff at all this week.
I'll bet those students watch them bowl on TV and makes them celebrities in their schools.
Nice spare pickup for Jeff Pohlman. Absolutely, right? I mean, you know, you remember when we were kids, even if you saw your teacher just out and about in town, you're like, oh, that was a big deal, right? You know?
Absolutely.
So to have the chance to see your teacher on TV like that has got to be pretty cool. There's Sarah Rott. She is filling in for Janelle Sabin, manning the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard. And we're going to get to see Sarah in a couple of weeks on our 4th show here from the Rapids Bowling Center. She is an outstanding bowler herself from Orchard Park High School.
So we'll have to see who we get to keep score for that match.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we will have to find maybe whoever's the winning bowler coming off the 3rd show next week gets to stick around and man the scoreboard. Wouldn't it be kind of fun to see like Fran Bax hanging out there and doing the scoring for us?
It would be hilariously fun.
And a good throw by Jeff, but just not enough action to get the 10-pin down.
Wow, there's not much more he can do.
No, that looked perfect.
Honestly. I'm trying to watch what these guys are playing to see how these lanes are playing different.
Are you noticing something different as we move towards sort of the middle of our 3-week run?
4 hooked up for him, and I've thought all along that they were playing a little deeper on lane 3, and it looks to me like 4 needs the same thing. Like people need to move in on 4.
We're going to be back with more Beat the Champ bowling action in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
He's got his mom and his dad, his mother and his father-in-law, and his daughter Alyssa here cheering him on at the Rapids Bowling Center. Yeah, could not will that one to take out the 4-7. Boy, between the regular appearances by the Pohlman brothers, Mom and Dad are here watching the show almost every month.
They are.
So this big spare pickup here in the 8th frame, big wide hook, and the results are there for Jeff Pohlman.
Okay, so what we've got is a 13-pin match here, so it's tightened up considerably.
Sure
These next 2 frames matter for both these guys, how they handle this, and that lane 4 has been a bit of a problem for Jeff, who's going to have to finish on lane 4.
Right. So there's the update on the Castellone scoreboard. Jeff Pohlman, 2016 City Tournament Scratch Team Championship with his teammates John Mazinski, Mike Zarcone, and Ron Stacy. Bowls regularly in a travel league on Saturdays and then at transit lanes on Wednesdays. Big 9th frame, big strike.
Well, that is as good a shot as he's going to throw. That was perfect.
So now Shaffer will move over and begin the 9th frame here with the lead, but a narrow one, as he tries to follow up the win that knocked out Dana Voytovich's win streak, preventing it from getting to 12 and keeping it at 11 in one of the bigger victories we've had on this show, maybe upset victories for another way to put it. Now Brian's got to keep that alive. Just couldn't get the 10-pin.
Well, those corner pins have been great equalizers here today at Rapids. For even when you throw a great shot, there's no guarantee that that 10 pin's going to fall. So this is a big shot for him, but what it has done is it's definitely given Jeff a little bit of breathing room.
That was close. A little sigh of relief there from Brian. He knew that one was close to being a miss. And look how tight this one is.
So a double and 9 pins gives Brian the win. Anything less than that, and Jeff can get up and win.
All right, well, there you go. Now Brian already knows what he needs. Now you know what he needs. So let's see if Shaffer can get it. Got to really have pretty close to 3 perfect shots. 10th frame. And that does not get him what he needs. And that's a bit of that's a challenging spare pickup, is it not?
It's a very difficult spare, and he's been great on his spares. I mean, he's been absolutely razor, even on the tougher ones. But this one, it needs the right bounce.
Didn't do it. So it's an open in the 10th, and it puts the final score on the board of 2-10 for Brian Shaffer. And now, boy, talk about pounding his way from behind. Jeff Pohlman's in control.
So, well, he needs a spare and 9 to tie, spare and strike to win, or a strike in the first ball. So he's still got some more cut out for him. And this lane has been a challenge.
Oh, boy. Who wants to win this? So a strike could have won it for Jeff. Instead, the exact opposite result of a difficult spare pickup. He has to make this in order to win. Oh, boy. And I think the look on Jeff's face tells you everything you need to know. How do you pick up the 4-7-9 spare? Put a heck of an effort into it, didn't he? But it won't be enough. And once again, I said this about 10 minutes ago, the bad luck always seems to plague Jeff Pohlman, and I think that one qualifies as his opponent gives him a huge opener, and then he gets caught up with a very difficult spare to have to pick up, and it winds up as a Brian Shaffer 210 to 200 win. We'll talk to Jeff and get you ready for what should be a really fun third match with Brian Shaffer and Fran Bax when Sue and I return to the Rapids Bowling Center in Niagara Falls right here on Beat the Champ. Pat, I feel like I want to ask you, is there a Rapids Bowling Center prize for the most unlucky bowler? Because that's what Jeff should get.
Jeff would definitely have that locked up for sure. That was a little tough.
You know, we've seen you on this show so many times, and I know how good a bowler you are. It just seems like the gremlins follow you around a little bit.
It is, you know, and that's what we're out here to do, is test ourselves like that and need a ball in the 10th frame. The right lane was just, you know, definitely causing me trouble. Picking up way earlier than the left lane, and I had a mindset of what I wanted to do and didn't execute, and you know, that's how it goes. I execute, I win the match. So.
Right. Well, I know you don't have an unlucky bowler prize, but you do have something to make
I have a little consolation for you, Jeff. But thanks for coming out again, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
All right. Well, the tough luck continues for Jeff Pohlman. We feel for you, Jeff. We really do, and I know all the bowlers do as well too. Brian Shaffer moves on. It's match number 3, and it's coming up next on Beat the Champ.
I'm here with Fran Bax, a familiar face here in the Falls, and a familiar face to not this Beat the Champ, but definitely to Beat the Champ in general. So you were part of the original telecast. Tell us what you see different between then and now.
I would have to say it's the youth, They're much more talented. They throw the ball incredible. They have access to great coaching through all forms of modern technology. They're going to put you to work these days.
Well, it's funny because I think when you made the show back in Beat the Champ, you were the same age as these people are now. So the veterans then were probably saying that about you.
They probably were, Sue. I was a cranker, but also kept it within an arrow of my shot. These kids today can play parts of the lane I couldn't dream of playing back in the day.
Well, with that being said, what do you see with the evolution of the two-hander?
Well, I've always believed whatever gets the job done. Back in the 1970s and 80s, I twisted the ball up. A lot of people were, they were kind of jealous. They thought that, I'll never become a bowler, but I made it work. It made me a lot of money. I made a living at it for a bunch of years. And I've always believed it's just whatever gets the job done, Sue.
So it's just part of the evolution of bowling. Things changed while you were growing up, and now things change again, right?
Absolutely, and I've got nothing to say against it.
Okay, well, good luck to you today. Show us what you got.
Thank you, Sue.
Match number 3, Brian Shaffer goes for 3 in a row against veteran bowler, Hall of Famer Fran Bax. We'll talk a lot more about Fran in a moment, but Brian Shaffer will lead things off here, as I think he'd be the first to admit he got a little bit of luck in winning that last match after leaving an open in the 10th frame and almost asking Jeff Pohlman to beat him. Jeff goes open himself, and it leaves Brian with a victory, and now he goes for 3 in a row.
Wow. Threw pins around, just missed one.
Yeah, sounded good. It just it sounded like 9 pins and not 10.
Yeah, he changed balls. He changed balls there, so that was I'm sure he's very happy to see that, because he just had left the split on lane 3 before this.
What's the thinking behind the ball change for Brian?
Well, he lost his ball reaction with the other ball, so he had to make a change after, the bad results. You don't want to go back and do that again.
Gotcha.
In a one-game match, you got to make, like I said, you got to make moves and you got to make them fast. So you make a quick decision. You got to strike a lot, and you're taking somebody on like Franny, who's it's going to make this interesting.
He's a legend. He's a legend. Fran Bax. This is his debut. I say it's his debut on Beat the Champ, but it's not really his debut on Beat the Champ. It's just his first appearance on Beat the Champ in 30 years. How about that? Fran Bax was a regular on the show back in the 80s. A matter of fact, we even dug up clips of Fran bowling against John Mazinski back in 1988. You can still find him on YouTube. That just tells you what a great bowler and what a great career Fran Bax has had, but he had not qualified for this version of the show in the 2+ years that we have done it until now. This is kind of his home center. He's from North Tonawanda, so what a thrill to see Fran on the show.
I know. We bowl in the same league on Wednesday nights, and I'm like, Fran, when are you going to come out? And he finally did.
So it's a spare in the
He's
first.
A character.
He is absolutely one of the all-time great bowling characters in Western New York. There isn't a Hall of Fame around town that he isn't in. Tonawanda's, Niagara Falls, Greater Buffalo, USBC, Hall of Fame. When you start making that list of Buffalo's all-time great bowlers, you're not getting very far down on it till you're putting Fran Bax on there.
Nope, we'd have to post a link for his resume.
Yeah. Most of the guys fill out a one-page sort of resume bio sheet for us. Fran gave us like 5 pages of single-spaced achievements and accomplishments, which is awesome and amazing. So 59 years old from North Tonawanda. He has been bowling for well over 50 years, and there isn't anything in bowling in Buffalo that Fran Bax has not achieved except winning on this show right now, this kind of show. So yeah, we had some fun digging up that old footage of Fran back in the late 80s when Van Miller and Mike Haynes were sitting in the seats that you and I were sitting in.
I think we have footage of that match at Southside that he bowled.
See, if you're going to start telling Fran Bax stories, you got to finish them now, Sue. Brian Shaffer, second frame for him. Nice strike in the second for Brian Shaffer. Now, I would assume Brian and Fran know each other pretty well here, both from North Tonawanda, both bowl here regularly at Rapids, so I would think that it isn't quite as intimidating for Brian to be going up against Fran as maybe it would be for someone normal who goes, oh my goodness, that's Fran Bax.
Oh, I don't know. Fran is a legend, so no matter whether you bowl against him or not, you know, everybody knows Fran and his accomplishments.
Oh, Brian's body language tells you he just could not get that 10 pin to fall.
Brian's got an interesting and amazing brand of confidence. I mean, I love the way he's approaching this. He is taking today and making the most of it and giving his all, and I love it. It's just fun to watch him bowl, because you would think that you're watching the PBA. He's just embracing this. Well, I love it.
Spare strike spare in the first three for Brian Shaffer, and now back to Fran Bax. Has his wife Patty cheering him on here, 59 years old from North Tonawanda. Still bowls regularly Sundays, Mondays, and Wednesdays during the year for Fran Bax. And like I said, once you get that in your blood and you're as good as he is, you're going to keep doing it and having fun with it. Full-time occupation as a social worker and counselor.
The one disadvantage that coming on to this pair is that it has broken down very different, and now you're out there trying to figure it out. It's hooking up and it's coming high on 4, and that was the nemesis of Jeff Pohlman as well.
So Fran looking to go spare, spare, spare to open things up, and he does it.
And Brian doesn't seem to have a problem on lane 4. So at the end of the day, that might be the deciding factor in these matches. Is Brian's role and where he's playing on the lane isn't getting the same effect as the people playing more right.
You got to look at the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard, manned this week by Sarah Rott, filling in for Janelle Sabin. And there's the first strike from Fran Bax. It comes in the 4th frame.
The action will continue on Beat the Champ in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
Well, gotta say it was pretty cool in preparing for this show, knowing Fran was going to be on it, doing a little poking around, stumbling across those YouTube videos of the old 1988 version of Beat the Champ. It was quite a thrill for me to watch one of my mentors in the world, and that was Van Miller, who was the host, and just to watch the guys back then and see the shows and see how they did the shows and how it compares to the shows that we do now. And I'm sure Fran would say he never threw balls like that left tough spares like that for him back in the late 80s.
Well, his ball speed is a little slow, and
yeah, just under 14 miles per hour as far as the scoreboard tells us.
His approach has not changed over the years. When you compare that to the video, you'll see that actually everything from the back watching a bowl really has stayed the same. And I've noticed that a lot with bowlers. I mean, it's however your timing is, however you start bowling, really stays consistent throughout your bowling career. And he, you know, to me, he looks exactly the same, but his ball speed is definitely a bit slower.
So it's opens in both 7th frames for both guys, Brian and Fran. So now, who will shake that off the best may determine this match. So here's Fran in the 8th frame, and he'll leave the 1 pin there. I do have to say one more little comment about watching the old Beat the Champs is we couldn't do this show. It wouldn't exist if there wasn't such a love for that show back in the day. And you remember it as a kid, and a lot of people remember it as a kid. You know, and it's just so cool to go back and watch it. And honestly, the coolest part about it is watching the old commercials. The old car commercials, the old Gold Dome Bank commercials, Hills, you know, the department stores. That was a pretty fun part of it as well too. So if you're a bowling fan and you're a Beat the Champ fan, when you're done watching this week's show, go hop on the computer, go pull it up, and go have a little fun watching the old vintage versions of Beat the Champ. So that's back-to-back open frames for Fran Bax in 7 and 8.
So he has opened the door for Brian.
Maybe hoping this one doesn't wind up on YouTube.
But it will.
It will, because they all do, yes. So now Brian with a chance to kind of put this away in the 8th frame. And that's a good way to start doing
What
it.
a shot. What a shot on, notoriously a tougher lane.
Been very impressed with Brian. We didn't know much about him. He'd only been on the show once before, a random trip to Jamestown in 2016 where he lost to Chuck Jagosinski. But this is home for him. This is a place that he spends a lot of time at, and he has been very impressive, not only in his sheer bowling ability, but sort of his fortitude a little bit too.
He's put on a very good show.
There, and you can see it and hear it. Brian has found his groove with strikes in 8 and 9. Niagara Falls Sports Hall of Fame, Niagara Falls Convention Center Hall of Fame, in addition to the ones that I mentioned for Fran Bax. Yeah, there probably isn't a Hall of Fame that he isn't on somewhere in Western New York. And he didn't like that.
Oh, sometimes your feet get a little fast, and kudos to those bowlers who can stop, because not everyone can stop like that. I know I can't. I just throw it bad. Some people can actually pull up.
Another difficult spare for Fran as a bit of the wheels have come off here for him here. And again, not a lot of ball speed, roughly 3 miles per hour less down the lanes than Brian is throwing it. And when you don't have a lot of ball speed, you leave yourself very difficult.
And, well, that's fine. You just compensate with bowling balls when anything you do as a bowler, you can figure out a way around with technology and equipment, and the ball's just not doing him any favors. Needs something to go a little bit longer down the lane than that.
And there's a nice strike for Fran to start the 10th frame. Well, regardless of how this match turns out, it's been an honor to see Fran on our show. I mean, you can't do a bowling show in Western New York and not have a guy like Fran on to be able to talk about him and let everybody maybe of the younger generation know who he is, and what he's done.
Right. And I hope that he wants to make another appearance down the road and was just getting his feet wet and seeing how it goes, and, our voices and, the different things that are characteristic of this new show as opposed to, what he was used to.
So it's a difficult close here for Fran, and it winds up a 168 score for Fran Bax, and a little bit of a hug there, a couple of them for Brian Shaffer, and a nice laugh from Fran that, he knows it may not have been his best bowling, but it's okay that that Brian answered the challenge here and is going to wind up winning this match.
So Brian has swept this week and made this his.
Yeah, this is the Brian Shaffer week here at Rapids Bowling Center, and then we'll see what happens with next week, because he's going to get a chance to come back and face 3 more bowlers, led off by Greg Voytovich in our first match. Tyler Molina, Steve Biondi are on the schedule to bowl next week against maybe Brian and all of them. We'll see how he does, but it's going to be it was a good performance by Brian, impressive to see. And he's certainly worthy of getting to come back again next week. So he'll finish this out and post up the final score, and then we will get a chance to talk to both guys about the performance this week and about next week. So Brian Shaffer going to come up with the win over Fran Bax. We're back to talk to both guys in just a moment right here on Beat the Champ. 185 to 168 final score as Brian Shaffer defeats Fran Bax. First off, Fran, it was an honor to have you on the show to sort of bridge the generations of Beat the Champ. I know this one will not go into your personal archives, will it?
Probably not, Paul, but I was glad to be back. It's been a while since I've appeared on TV, probably about 15 years. for the little bit I did, it was fun, and hey, I survived.
Yes, you did.
There's no EMTs carrying me out of here. Brian was on fire, and I was a grease fire. So what are you gonna do?
Well, I don't know what else more to say about that, Sue.
Brian, your intensity was infectious. I mean, I would think that you bowled competitively at a regular basis. Is this how you approach bowling, even in league?
All the time. I'm very passionate about bowling, and anything I've done with every sport I've played, I don't hide my emotions. You're gonna see what I have to offer out there every shot, bad, good or bad.
Well, I feel like you made the most of your time here on the show, and it worked out great for you. So I have to say, great bowling today.
Thank you very much.
Right.
It was a pleasure bowling against Fran again. I bowled against him in the last Beat the Champ 20 years ago. So a lot of fun. Thank you.
Nice bowling.
Thanks.
Well, Brian's going to come back. He's got more winning potentially to do. Pat, you got something to give to Fran. You realize when you give him this, he might keep coming back here.
I realize. I might never get rid of him now, but Fran, always a pleasure.
It's
Good
been
bowl.
a pleasure. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. This was a great week of shows, and guess what? Brian's going to try to make it an even better week when he returns for 3 more matches next week. Sue and I will preview that when we return to the Rapids Bowling Center in Niagara Falls. More Beat the Champ to come. Well, we started this week talking about whether Dana could keep his streak going, and now we're talking about Brian's streak.
And that's what Beat the Champ is, right? But I think here we've gotten everything we expected to see, which is, great bowling from these bowlers all-star lineup that we talked about, but not the scores. And that's the amazing thing, is that this place is known for these massive scores, but these bowlers are fighting out every single shot. Not necessarily 250s, but just got to knock the pins down, right?
Yep, you betcha. Brian Shaffer has done it. He's got 3 in a row. He'll try to keep that streak alive when we return to the Rapids Bowling Center next week with 3 more challengers ready to end Brian Shaffer's winning streak. We will see you then. For Sue Navoyski and the crew here at WBBZ, we'll talk to you next week on Beat the Champ.